Hey everybody, when Rob and I discovered we both are not only interested in storytelling but also in the James Bond story, we decided to read the Bond books and compare them with the movies. I enjoy reading these books because I don't see any of the Bonds, and this makes it interesting for me because I get more character insights.
Reading the first chapter, I was kind of picturing Sean Connery, like when he went back to his hotel room, how he was examining the black hair and the talcum powder. And I was like, oh, this feels very much like Connery's Bond. But then as we move through the story, I agree, I stopped picturing Sean Connery and I was kind of picturing this new version of Bond that was not any of the actors from the films.
At the beginning of the book, it felt to me like, okay, we see a more young Bond who is a professional, but who is still not that professional as you would see him in the movies. And in the whole Craig storyline, but especially in Casino Royale, I think they kind of try to portray him as he's 25 or something, who then becomes Bond.
James Bond.
There's the whole thing about him going to the casino a few days early to give his nerves and card sense a workout. After just seeing the films, it seems odd as he doesn't usually show nerves. In fact, in this film, in Casino Royale, he's very confident. He's talking early on in the film that I'm going to beat Le Chef. He doesn't doubt himself at all.
But in poker, you never play your hand. You play the man across from you.
And you're good at reading people.
Yes, I am.
He's humbled big time in the film. In the poker game,
Yeah.
obviously the whole stuff with Vesper, but like the humbling during the mission where he loses the hand. I got the feeling in the book he seemed to get very careless. He lost a couple of hands and he was just like, okay, just go for it. And it like showed the worry, whereas in the film we find out after that Vesper's betrayed him. I think Bond still would have fallen for it. Le Chef has the hands he sees, he's bluffing, and then the way he puts it up seems like a second action, and it felt like he was doing that on purpose.
You must have thought I was bluffing, Mr. Bond.
The beef between Bond and Le Chiffre in the book, it's more like, yeah, there's Le Chiffre and so his account is out of balance and he sets up this poker game because he doesn't want to be killed by Smersh. The British Secret Service knows this and they decide, yeah, okay, let's humiliate and destroy Le Chiffre, and therefore we send Bond because he's the best card player.
He's a little bit careless in the book, whereas in the film he seems smarter. It's just that Bond has foiled him.
Gets even more heightened because there's something personal even between them, and it makes more sense for Le Chiffre to want to destroy Bond.
There's a shot of Le Chiffre when he's been shot, and I thought this feels like how they were describing it in the book. Bond's been beaten and he's so disorientated. He says like he sees the blacks of Le Chiffre's eyes and then all of a sudden like a third eye appearing. The relationship with M I found really interesting.
Yes.
One of the first things he says about M in the books is he's like he regretted the hubris of his reply to M. It says that he doesn't argue in his interaction with M. He seems to respect M more in the book, whereas in the films he seems to have a bit of fun with M. Well, I mean, he breaks into a penthouse, so it's like it's a different dynamic.
The way it's portrayed in the book, it's also portrayed, at least in the Connery Bonds. You know, he takes the Beretta, so he steals the Beretta because he doesn't want to use the new gun. But M knows him.
007. Sir? Just leave the Beretta.
There's still this respect. Bond wouldn't talk back like that.
Yeah, I think their relationship obviously grows in the film. She is kind of very matter of fact with him when they find Solange's body and he just doesn't seem to react to it, and she's like,
I would ask you if you could remain emotionally detached. But I don't think that's your problem, is it, Bond?
No.
but I feel like the phone call at the end is very much like them kind of coming together.
Yeah.
She realizes that he has gone that distance, he has been burned now. Bond's attitude towards being a 00 agent and the killing, it seemed different in the book. He was telling Vesper about the 2 kills to get his 00 status,
Yes.
and he said there were probably decent people caught up in the gale of the world, basically saying like, I'm the same as the people I'm after, but we're just like all on different sides.
Yes.
Whereas in the film, it was almost like he wanted to kill. He's good at it. And there's a bit where he's at the airport and they have to chase, and he clips the thing on him and he blows himself up and he gives like a smile, which suggests that he enjoys that side of it.
In the book, the chapter The Nature of Evil, Bond is not only physically hurt, he is also morally hurt. And this is a great exchange. Because Bond is like, yeah, I am like Lucifer. I am like, as you said, those people that I kill. And Mathis says, well, no, it's because of the motivation for whom you do it, like your nation or family, for love.
I wonder if that's why I love you.
You love me.
Basically, the book and the film, really, they're a love story.
Yes.
It's a spy story, yes, but also it's about a man falling in love.
Yes.
It's a tragic love story.
Yes.
And you talked about the difference between Vesper in the book and in the film. She seems more sure of herself, especially in the early scenes. She's matching Bond's energy.
Yeah.
They're trying to guess each other's backgrounds and about each other. And I think that's part of the attraction that Bond feels towards her in the films, is that because she's like him. And I think he's attracted to that because
he likes himself that much.
I think he clearly is in the film, and I found it a bit more believable.
Yeah, I guess there is this question, why do they fall in love? What is there for them? She is really hot, at least that's how he experiences her presence. And I think in the book you get more of this conflict within himself, that he is more or less like, yeah, I use them, or I sleep with them and then I disappear, because he can't really be a family man because everybody wants to kill him in the spy world. In the movie, yeah, I think you're right. He kind of enjoys that, and then they tease each other with words, and then he smiles, and she gives him back and something insulting, yeah, and he likes it.
Apparently we're very much in love.
He's very cocky and he's very flirty straight away, and when he's reading the assignment, he's playful with her in a way that he's not in the book.
I'm Mr. Arlington Beach, professional gambler, and you're Miss Stephanie Broadchester, heiress.
I am not.
You're going to have to trust me on this.
It's weird though, because then when he meets Vesper in the book, he basically wants to fuck her immediately.
Yeah.
He's like, the prospect of working with her stimulated him, and he's like reserved friendliness at first, and then he starts to feel like this. He seems attracted to her in that she's excited about the job, and she's obviously impressed him, and it was interesting when he said the shame he felt about the hypocrisy of his attitude towards her. And I guess because of that outburst to Matthias before, when Matthias tells him that he's going to be working with Vesper, like not with Vesper, with a woman.
Oh, yeah.
He seems so angry. The way Matthias describes her, and he's basically saying of the telecommunications, there'll be problems at first in the day, and at night, kind of wink wink, like basically he's saying like, oh yeah, like you'll sleep with her. Their interaction seems professional, but he's kind of acknowledging that he wants to sleep with her, but only after the mission. Winning the game, he saw that as at the end of the mission, so therefore it was okay to sleep with her.
Yeah.
But because of how she was standoffish and cold with him in the bar afterwards, he didn't, and he puts off seeing her again for about a week after the torture because he's worried about the damage done by the incident.
Yeah.
And it's like how he's using their first meeting as a test to see if he gets aroused.
Yes, yes,
'Cause he's worried that
was the main point or something.
And we do see it from Daniel Craig in this film with Solange, and it looks like they're going to sleep with each other, but then he gets the information from her.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get a bottle of chilled Bollinger Condamné? No, for one.
He could sleep with her, but he doesn't. He leaves and chases Demetrius to Miami.
In general, there's a certain emotional coldness or distance, and on the other side, he is still a human being with feelings. So therefore he has to, and he probably curses himself because now he has to work with a woman, and when he accuses her of emotional baggage, then it's probably himself. He at least too has his baggage that might be work related, and it's probably work related because I mean Vesper is a double agent in both the book and the movie. It's the last line in the book: the bitch is dead. But in the movie they turn it around and say, yeah, well, she probably died for you.
Did you ever ask yourself why you weren't killed that night? Isn't it obvious? She made a deal to spare your life in exchange for the money.
And this is kind of like a redemption, and I guess this is also a reason why Bond still loves her years later. And I think it's actually more believable than in the book, because in the book, you know, he is tortured, then he's in the hospital, and then in the chapters after this, they start talking like they're a loving couple or maybe a married couple. And I wonder why does this make sense? Or is this even a role he's playing? I mean, he seems to start to trust her, and then he is, of course, disappointed when he finds out, yeah, she was a double agent. And this is also one of the themes in the Craig movies, this thing with the trust.
You don't trust anyone, do you, James?
No.
then you've learnt your lesson.
The default should be don't trust anyone.
Not even your loved ones.
Exactly.
Allow me.
I agree when you said it was more believable in the film. There's a redemption for her.
Yeah,
In the book, I got the impression that he massively let his guard down.
probably.
And when that car passed and she thought they were being followed, she all of a sudden became really cold and was like very reserved with him. But he's still thinking, I'm going to marry her.
Yeah.
It was only when he saw her with the phone call and she wouldn't answer the questions that he didn't go through with that. And then it sounded like their time at that little hotel, it seemed like awful. They weren't really talking to each other, and occasionally they'd sleep together, and then he's fallen in love. He makes a comment early on. He hadn't been mastered by luck or love, but accepted that one day he would be brought to his knees by one or the other. And I think this is him being angry that it's like, I shouldn't have let my guard down. And I did always think
The bitch is dead.
that line in the film kind of comes from nowhere, like
True.
the way he described her as a bitch, but then reading the book you see where it's from.
Yeah.
But like you can see his anger, like he feels betrayed.
Yes, you're right. Because when he realizes that he had feelings for her, he goes back into his professional coldness and distance.
Yeah.
And this is also how it's described in the book. I have no time for feelings or for any sort of emotional catharsis. I have no time for coping. I have to be professional now and do my job. And Vesper, for this reason, has no meaning to me anymore.
Yeah.
But of course, when he says, yeah, the bitch is dead, you can hear it. There are emotions in this.
You've got your armor back on. How's that?
I have no armor left.
The little shadows and question marks of the past 4 weeks, which his instinct had noted but his mind rejected, all stood out like signposts now. So it's like maybe it was just love, it was just clouding him in the book. The moment that changes it to me in the film, where it's less of a playful, flirty thing, is when he goes into the room and she's in the shower after the confrontation with the terrorists, and she's visibly shaken up by that, and him comforting her. I think that's the trigger, and even though there's a bit where they're kind of probing each other in the restaurant after the win, I think that bonds them, and it feels a bit different after. It feels like more serious. It does feel like they have a connection after that. So I think that's the big clincher for me in the film over the book and their relationship.
Yeah, true. And there's something tender between them, and that makes sense that they would kind of like fall in love with each other.
Yes.
I always wonder how much of Fleming's experiences and thoughts and these things, also how real is this? Torturing someone's balls like this, it does not seem impossible, you know? There's nothing Superman in it, like in the Craig movies. And how much of this is just because it's a fictional character, and how much of it is actual description of how life in the spy game is.
Or how Fleming romanticizes it to be. It does seem like he has a specific view on the world, and it is not a particularly warm one.